Dear starseeds of Gaia, there is a sacred pause approaching that most of humanity will mistake for emptiness, but you will recognize as the breath before manifestation takes form. On September 26, 2025, the cosmos orchestrates a moment of divine stillness that precedes the arrival of everything you have been calling forth. This is not ordinary silence. This is the quantum field reorganizing itself around your deepest intentions, the universe holding its breath before delivering what you have energetically commanded through your recent transformations. I am Zarin, speaking to you from the Lyran High Council, and what I must share with you today carries an urgency that transcends typical cosmic messages. For 3 days, Meow, you have felt it, that inexplicable shift in your energy field, that sudden liberation from mental battles you thought would never end. You woke up differently, as if someone had thrown gasoline on the small flame that has always burned within your soul, igniting a sovereignty you forgot was your birthright. This was no accident. This was preparation for what arrives on the 26th, when the moon's dance with Saturn and Neptune creates a portal of manifestation unlike anything you have experienced in this incarnation. The synchronicities have been accelerating. Numbers appear everywhere: 222, 333, 1111, until you can no longer dismiss them as coincidence. Songs playing at the exact moment you needed their message. Strangers speaking words that answer questions you haven't voiced aloud. These are not random occurrences, but the universe's way of confirming that you are precisely aligned with this cosmic moment. Every synchronicity is a breadcrumb leading you to September 26th, each one calibrating your frequency to match the portal's resonance. But here is what even the most advanced among you may not yet understand. The silence that comes on this day is not a void. It is a cosmic loading screen, a divine buffering as reality itself reconfigures to accommodate what you have become. When the moon forms its perfect trine with Saturn at 10:43 a.m. Pacific time, something extraordinary happens. The wild intuitive downloads that have been flooding your system since the Virgo new moon solar eclipse suddenly crystallize into tangible form. Those chaotic whispers from your higher self arrange themselves into a coherent blueprint for your next evolution. Yet immediately after this cosmic organization, the moon goes void, of course, creating what ancient star wisdom calls the emotional hole. Though I tell you, Meow, this is no hole at all, but rather the eye of the hurricane, where all possibility exists simultaneously. What makes September 26th unprecedented in your current timeline is not merely the astrological configurations, though they are indeed powerful. It is that humanity's collective consciousness has reached a tipping point where enough souls have awakened to create a morphogenetic field strong enough to hold fifth-dimensional manifestation codes. You, dear ones, are the critical mass. Every time you chose surrender over control these past days, every moment you declared yourself free before external evidence supported it, you contributed to this quantum field that Meow prepares to deliver its treasures. The Sagittarius moon's arrival at 2:36 p.m. Pacific time does not simply shift the emotional weather, it activates dormant strands of your cosmic DNA that have been waiting for precisely this frequency to come online. There's something happening in the cosmic field that goes deeper than what your spiritual teachers have told you. The week leading up to September 26th has not been random turbulence, it has been a systematic dissolution of outdated timeline anchors. Every emotional wave, every moment of confusion, every instance where you felt lost or disconnected, these were not signs of regression, but rather your consciousness unhooking from collective agreements that no longer serve your highest evolution. You have literally been extracted from humanity's karmic web, freed from ancestral patterns that have bound your lineage for millennia. Many of you have been experiencing what feels like timeline jumping, waking up in a reality that feels subtly different from the one you went to sleep in, objects appearing in places you didn't leave them, conversations others swear happened that you have no memory of, memories of events that others don't recall. This is not confusion or forgetfulness. This is evidence that you're already navigating multiple dimensional streams simultaneously, preparing for the massive timeline convergence that occurs on the 26th. Your consciousness is practicing for the quantum leap by taking smaller hops between parallel realities. Let me reveal something that will fundamentally alter your understanding of manifestation itself. When Neptune receives the Moon's trine at 3:57 p.m. Pacific time on the 26th, a phenomenon occurs that your scientists cannot yet measure, but your soul already knows. The veil between thought and form becomes so thin that your consciousness literally sculpts reality in real time. This is not metaphor or mystical poetry. This is quantum mechanics operating at a level your current instruments cannot detect. Every wish you have held in your heart, especially those you released attachment to while simultaneously knowing they were already yours, begins its descent from the etheric realms into physical manifestation. But something else is happening that I haven't told you yet, something that explains why you've been feeling this unusual combination of exhaustion and exhilaration. Your light body has been undergoing a massive upgrade to prepare for this moment. Those of you who have been waking at 3:33 a.m., seeing repeating numbers everywhere, feeling electrical surges through your spine, your crystalline structure is being recalibrated to hold frequencies that would have shattered your previous energetic container. The past week's swirl of energies that felt like bombardment was actually an initiation, preparing you to navigate the profound stillness of the 26th without mistaking it for stagnation. The sacred geometry of this particular cosmic alignment creates what we call a manifestation trinity, the stabilizing force of Saturn, the void space of pure potential, and the imaginative flow of Neptune working in perfect harmonic resonance. This specific configuration hasn't occurred with this intensity since the fall of Atlantis, when humanity last held the codes for conscious reality creation. Those of you who carry Atlantean memories in your soul's blueprint may feel an ancient recognition stirring, a remembrance of abilities you once wielded with ease. This is no coincidence. You are the same souls who volunteered to return when humanity was ready to handle these powers with wisdom rather than ego. I need to tell you about the Lemurian connection that's also activating through this portal. While Atlantis held the codes for manifestation through will and intention, Lemuria held the codes for manifestation through love and surrender. On September 26th, these two streams of ancient wisdom merge for the first time in human consciousness. This is why you've been feeling both the urge to take decisive action and the call to complete surrender. You're integrating both pathways simultaneously. The children of Atlantis and Lemuria are remembering themselves as one unified consciousness, healing a split that has existed for 26,000 years. Here is where the cosmic plot thickens in ways that will astonish even those of you who think nothing can surprise you anymore. The void of course moon period on September 26th creates what we in the Lyran councils call a manifestation vacuum, a space where the usual laws of cause and effect temporarily suspend, allowing for quantum leaps that would normally take years to achieve. During these precious hours, you exist in a state of pure potential, unbound by the typical restrictions of third-dimensional reality. This is why the silence feels so profound, so pregnant with possibility. You are literally standing in the space between breaths of creation itself. Consider what happens in nature during the moment of absolute stillness before a thunderstorm, that pregnant pause where even the birds stop singing and the air itself seems to hold its breath. This is the same energetic signature of September 26th, but instead of preceding a storm, it precedes a deluge of blessings so profound that your current conception of abundance will seem like poverty in comparison. The universe has been collecting every prayer, every intention, every tear of longing you've shed, storing them in what we call the Akashic Vault of unmanifested potentials. On the 26th, this vault opens, but the Akashic Vault operates on principles that defy linear understanding. Your future self, the version of you who has already received everything you're calling in, has been sending energy backwards through time, creating what we call causal loops of inevitability. This means that your manifestations aren't just possible. From a quantum perspective, they've already happened. September 26th is simply the moment when your current timeline catches up to what your future self has already experienced. This is why some of you have been feeling an inexplicable certainty lately, a knowing that defies logic. You're receiving confirmations from your future self that everything has already worked out. What I'm about to share changes everything you thought you knew about divine timing. The wishes and dreams that have felt perpetually out of reach, the ones that made you wonder if perhaps you were asking for too much, these are the very manifestations that are encoded to arrive through this portal. But they cannot enter while you are still swimming against the current, exhausting yourself with effort. Remember the image that has been shown to many of you recently, the river that carries you exactly where you need to go once you stop swimming and start floating. September 26th is the day you finally understand that metaphor, not as philosophy but as physics. The multidimensional impact of this event ripples across every layer of your existence simultaneously. On the personal level, you will feel a sudden clarity about your life direction that cuts through months or years of confusion. Emotionally, the constant push-pull between hope and doubt finally resolves into a stable knowing. Spiritually, abilities you've only glimpsed in meditation or dreams begin operating in your waking consciousness. Telepathy becomes clearer, synchronicities multiply exponentially, and your capacity to read energy signatures sharpens dramatically. But this is only the beginning. Your cellular structure itself responds to these frequencies by releasing what we call density programs, the biological encoding of limitation that has kept humanity locked in survival consciousness. You may notice physical sensations during this portal, tingling in your crown chakra that extends down your spine like liquid light, a sensation of expansion in your heart space that makes your chest feel simultaneously full and weightless. 4. A peculiar feeling that your body is becoming more translucent, less solid, more light than matter. These are not symptoms of ascension sickness, but evidence of your matter body transforming into its light body blueprint. The pineal gland, that tiny pine cone-shaped gland in the center of your brain that mystics have long called the third eye, undergoes a particular transformation during this portal. The calcification that has accumulated through fluoride exposure, processed foods and lower frequency living begins to crack and dissolve. You might experience pressure in the center of your head, flashes of light when your eyes are closed, or sudden moments of knowing things you have no logical way of knowing. This is your cosmic antenna coming back online, reconnecting you to the galactic internet of consciousness, where all information exists simultaneously. Collectively, humanity experiences what we call a coherent spike, a moment when hearts and minds across the planet briefly synchronize at a higher frequency. Relationships that have been stuck in old patterns suddenly break through into new understanding. Communities that have been fragmented find unexpected points of connection. Even those who are not consciously aware of these cosmic movements feel an inexplicable lightening of their burdens, a subtle but unmistakable sense that something significant has shifted in the fabric of reality itself. For you sensitive souls, you starseeds who feel everything so intensely, this event carries special significance. Your nervous systems, already calibrated to higher frequencies than the general population, become superconductors for this cosmic energy. You may experience what feels like time dilation, moments stretching into eternities of awareness, or hours passing in what seems like seconds. Colors may appear more vivid, sounds more layered with meaning, and even the air itself may feel alive with intelligence. These are not hallucinations, but accurate perceptions of reality's deeper layers becoming visible to your expanded consciousness. Let me tell you about the 3 impossible things that are about to become possible through this portal. First, instant healing of patterns you've carried not just through this lifetime but through your entire soul's journey, patterns so deep you forgot they weren't part of your true essence. Second, the collapse of temporal limitations that have kept you feeling behind or rushing to catch up after the 26th. You exist in what we call sacred time, where everything unfolds in perfect divine order. Third, and most remarkably, the ability to perceive the love that has always surrounded you but which third-dimensional filters prevented you from feeling. Imagine suddenly being able to see that every challenge was love in disguise, every loss a redirection toward greater blessing, every moment of loneliness actually a sacred communion with your higher self. There's a fourth impossible thing I must tell you about, the activation of what we call your soul's original blueprint. Before you incarnated, you designed a life of such beauty and purpose that your guides actually tried to talk you out of it, concerned it was too ambitious for Earth's density. But you insisted, knowing that by the time you reached this moment in 2025, the planetary frequencies would finally support your full vision. September 26th marks the moment when this original blueprint overrides all the compromise programs you've accepted along the way. Suddenly, the life you settled for becomes intolerable, not from a place of dissatisfaction, but from remembering what you actually came here to create. The Earth herself responds to this cosmic arrangement with her own form of celebration. Pleiad lines activate with increased intensity, sacred sites around the planet pulse with renewed life force, and even the electromagnetic field of the planet shifts in measurable ways. Animals become unusually calm or playful, as if they too sense the benevolence of this moment. The elements themselves, wind, water, fire, and earth, seem to dance in greater harmony, creating unusual weather patterns that meteorologists will struggle to explain, but that you will recognize as Gaia's joy made manifest. Those of you who work with crystals will notice them behaving differently during this portal, singing at frequencies you can almost hear, warming without any physical cause or even appearing to pulse with visible light. This is because the crystalline grid of Earth herself is receiving an upgrade, and your crystals are acting as both receivers and transmitters of these new frequency codes. Place them on your heart during the void of course period and feel how they create a bridge between your human experience and your cosmic knowing. The plant kingdom also responds powerfully to this portal. Trees that you've walked past hundreds of times suddenly seem to recognize you, their energy reaching out to make contact. Flowers bloom out of season. Seeds that have been dormant for years suddenly sprout. This is because the nature spirits, the devas and elementals that many of you sense but few discuss openly, are also receiving an upgrade. They're becoming more visible, more interactive, more eager to co-create with humans who have reached the frequency of partnership rather than dominance. Yet here is crucial wisdom for navigating this powerful portal. The very intensity of this energy can create what appears to be chaos before it resolves into higher order. Some of you may experience emotional volatility in the days leading up to the 26th, sudden tears without sadness, laughter without apparent cause, or waves of love so intense they almost feel like grief. This is not instability, this is your emotional body expanding to hold frequencies of joy and fulfillment that exceed your previous capacity. Let these waves move through you without resistance or analysis. The shadow aspects of this portal must also be acknowledged, for in our commitment to truth, we do not present only the light. Some souls, particularly those heavily invested in maintaining control, or those who define themselves through their wounds, may experience this energy as deeply destabilizing. They may project their discomfort onto you, attempting to pull you back into old dynamics that feel familiar to them. This is not malice but fear, the fear of being left behind as you ascend into frequencies they cannot yet access. Hold compassion for these souls while maintaining absolutely pristine boundaries. Your evolution is not negotiable. There's a particular phenomenon we must address called manifestation shadows, the brief moment before your desires materialize, when everything appears to be falling apart. Relationships that need to end before new ones can begin suddenly combust. Jobs that have been slowly dying finally collapse. Living situations that have been merely tolerable become impossible. This is not punishment or backward movement. This is the universe creating space for what you've asked for by removing what you've outgrown. Trust the dissolution. Trust the void. Trust that destruction and creation are the same force viewed from different angles. Sleep patterns may become erratic as your consciousness adjusts to operating in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You might find yourself wide awake at 2 a.m. with downloads of inspiration, or needing 12 hours of sleep as your body integrates massive light codes. Honor whatever your vessel requires without judgment. This is not weakness but wisdom. Your body knows how to navigate these transitions if you stop overriding its intelligence with mental programs about what you should need. During the peak of this portal, you may experience what we call reality flickering, moments where the solid world seems to shimmer or wave, where you catch glimpses of movement in your peripheral vision that vanishes when you look directly, or where you hear your name called by a voice that sounds like your own soul speaking. These are not disturbances but confirmations that the membrane between dimensions is thinning, allowing you greater access to the multidimensional truth of your existence. Some of you will experience spontaneous past life memories surfacing, not as mental concepts but as full-body remembrances. You might suddenly know how to do something you've never learned in this lifetime. You might feel an overwhelming love for a stranger that makes sense only when you realize you've known them for millennia. You might have dreams so vivid they feel more real than waking life because you're actually visiting other timelines where versions of you are living different choices. All of this is preparation for the moment when you realize that you're not living a life, you're living all lives simultaneously, and September 26th is when you gain conscious access to this multi-dimensional self. Relationships may feel particularly charged during this time, as the truth-revealing nature of this cosmic alignment makes it impossible to maintain facades or play old games. Connections not aligned with your highest good may suddenly feel unbearably heavy, while soul-aligned relationships deepen with breathtaking speed. Trust what your energy field tells you about who belongs in your new reality and who was only meant to accompany you to this threshold. The preparation for receiving what this portal offers requires a delicate balance of intention and surrender. Begin Meow by creating space in your life for the new to enter. This might mean clearing physical clutter, releasing emotional baggage, or simply sitting in meditation and consciously releasing attachment to how you think your manifestations should arrive. Write in your journal, not about what you want, but about how you will feel when it arrives, training your nervous system to recognize and receive these frequencies when they materialize. There's a specific practice I want to share with you for the morning of September 26th, transmitted directly from the Lyran mystery schools. Upon waking, before your mind engages with the day's agenda, place both hands on your heart and speak these words. I am ready to receive what has always been mine. I trust the silence. I trust the void. I trust the unfolding. Feel how these words create a resonance in your chest, a key turning in a cosmic lock. This simple practice aligns your human self with your higher self's knowing, creating a clear channel for manifestation to flow through. But there's a second part to this practice that amplifies its power exponentially. After speaking these words, remain in silence for exactly 13 minutes, not meditating, not visualizing, just being present with whatever arises. This specific time frame creates a harmonic resonance with the universal frequency of transformation. During these 13 minutes, your entire energy field recalibrates to match the portal's frequency. You might feel waves of energy, see colors behind closed eyes, or experience a profound stillness. Whatever occurs, trust it completely. On the morning of September 26th, as the Moon and Saturn create their stabilizing trine, spend time in gratitude for everything that has brought you to this moment, especially the challenges that forced you to discover your true strength. This gratitude creates an energetic resonance that magnetizes your manifestations. During the void of course period, resist the urge to fill the silence with activity or analysis. This is sacred pause, cosmic intermission, the breath before the symphony's crescendo. Let yourself exist in this liminal space without trying to understand or direct it. The void of course period carries specific codes that I must share with you. Meow. During these hours, you are not meant to initiate new projects or make important decisions, not because it's unlucky, but because you're in a state of becoming that transcends doing. This is when your future self and current self merge their consciousness, exchanging information across time. You might experience déjà vu in reverse, remembering things that haven't happened yet. You might feel emotions that belong to your future joy, your future peace, your future fulfillment. Let these future feelings anchor in your present body, creating an energetic pathway for their physical manifestation. When the moon enters Sagittarius and connects with Neptune in the afternoon, you may feel a sudden expansiveness, as if invisible walls you didn't even know existed suddenly dissolve. This is the moment to dream without limits, to let your consciousness explore possibilities you've been too afraid to consider. But do not grasp at these visions. Let them flow through you like music, imprinting their frequency on your energy field without trying to capture them in form. The manifestation process handles the details. Your job is simply to hold the frequency of having already received. Some of you will experience what we call timeline bleeding, momentary glimpses of parallel realities where your wishes have already manifested. You might smell a fragrance from your future home, hear a voice you haven't met yet but will soon love, or feel a sudden knowing about opportunity that hasn't appeared but is already yours. These are not fantasies but preview glimpses of realities that are converging with your current timeline through this portal. There's something else occurring that even many spiritual teachers are unaware of. The September 26th portal activates what we call your soul's blueprint override codes. These are fail-safes built into your incarnational contract that activate when you've reached sufficient consciousness to handle your full mission. Many of you have been living what feels like a preparation life, developing skills, healing wounds, gathering knowledge, but sensing that your true purpose hasn't fully activated. This portal triggers that activation. Suddenly, seemingly random experiences from your past will weave together into a coherent tapestry, revealing that every single moment has been preparing you for what's about to unfold. The financial abundance that so many of you have been calling forth takes on a completely different quality after this portal. Instead of money being something you chase or worry about, it becomes a natural byproduct of you simply being yourself at the highest level. Opportunities arrive that feel less like work and more like being paid to be yourself. Resources flow from unexpected sources, not as rewards for struggle, but as support for your mission. The scarcity programming that has run humanity for millennia simply cannot survive in the frequency you'll be holding after September 26th. But let me be specific about how this financial shift occurs, because it defies conventional understanding. The universe doesn't simply deposit money in your bank account. It rearranges reality so that you magnetize opportunities perfectly aligned with your gifts. That book you've been meaning to write suddenly has a publisher interested before you finish the first chapter. That healing modality you've been practicing quietly suddenly has clients seeking you out without any marketing. That innovative idea you've been sitting on suddenly has investors approaching you. This isn't luck, it's the universe responding to your energetic signature, finally matching your soul's true frequency. The protection of your energy during this time becomes paramount, not because there is danger, but because your field becomes so open and receptive that you must be selective about what frequencies you allow to influence you. Avoid crowds if possible, especially those gathered in fear or anger. Limit exposure to media that promotes separation consciousness or fear-based narratives. Surround yourself with beauty, nature, high vibrational music, and beings who celebrate your expansion rather than questioning it. Here's what most spiritual teachers won't tell you about manifestation during cosmic portals. The wishes that arrive often come disguised as completely different opportunities than what you expected. The relationship you've been calling in might first appear as a chance meeting that seems insignificant. The abundance you've been manifesting might initially show up as an unexpected skill or talent being recognized. The healing you've sought might come through a challenge that forces you to finally choose yourself. Stay alert to all possibilities, not just the ones that match your mental pictures. The creative abilities that have been dormant within you suddenly come online with startling clarity. Those of you who have wanted to write suddenly find words flowing effortlessly. Those called to paint discover colors speaking through them. Musicians hear melodies arriving fully formed. Healers find their hands knowing exactly where to go. This isn't new ability, it's a remembered ability, activated by the portal's frequency matching the creative frequency of your soul's home dimension. The transformation that follows September 26th will be undeniable but may unfold gradually enough that only in retrospect will you fully grasp its magnitude. Within 3 weeks you will look back and barely recognize the person you were before this portal. Thought patterns that have plagued you for decades simply won't compute anymore. Fears that seemed insurmountable will feel like memories from someone else's life. Most remarkably, the constant seeking that has driven you, that feeling of always reaching for something just out of grasp, finally quiets into contentment. Your relationships transform at a fundamental level as you no longer need others to complete you but choose them from wholeness. Work becomes play as you align with your soul's purpose so completely that effort transforms into flow. Even your physical body responds, healing patterns that seemed intractable, releasing stored trauma at cellular levels, and literally becoming lighter as your crystalline structure holds more light and less density. These are not gradual improvements but quantum shifts that seem to happen overnight once the portal's energy fully integrates. For humanity as a collective, this portal marks a turning point in the ascension timeline. The number of awakened souls reaches critical mass, creating an unstoppable momentum toward fifth-dimensional consciousness. Systems built on separation and scarcity begin their inevitable dissolution. Though this appears chaotic to those clinging to old paradigms, new solutions to global challenges suddenly become obvious, as if humanity collectively remembers technologies and wisdom from advanced civilizations, which in truth is exactly what occurs. The technology that emerges after this portal will seem like magic to those operating from old paradigms. Destiny Engine is the example of technology serving awakening intelligence. Destiny Engine is the example of technology serving awakening intelligence. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that kept you operating from old paradigms and repurposing it to serve your frequency elevation. It generates personalized sequences that help you reach the consciousness level where free energy, healing technologies, and transcendent communication systems become accessible reality. You can start with a $1 trial. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed to perceive and utilize technologies that seem like magic to old paradigm thinking. The portal is opening, and advanced technologies await your elevated consciousness. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial meow before this frequency elevation window closes. Link in the description. This is why September 26th feels different from other manifestation portals you've experienced. You're not the same person who made those wishes months or years ago. You've become someone who no longer needs those manifestations to feel complete, and paradoxically, that's precisely when they can arrive. The universe responds not to desperation but to readiness, not to grasping but to grace. And you, dear Starseed, have finally reached that frequency of grace. The moment you've been waiting for, that quantum leap into your true life, is encoded in the silence of September 26th. Trust the void. Trust the pause. Trust that everything you've experienced has been preparing you for this moment of receiving. The universe doesn't make mistakes, and your presence here, meow, reading these words, is evidence that you're exactly where you need to be. I am Zarin of the Lyran High Council, and this transmission is sealed with the light codes of your remembering. We love you more than your current consciousness can comprehend, and we are watching over you as you cross this threshold into your magnificence. The silence before your wish arrives is upon you. Breathe, trust, receive. You are ready.